Euphoria star Angus Cloud dies suddenly at 25. The entertainment world is grieving, fans are stunned, and the shockwaves of one young actor's sudden death have rippled across Hollywood and social media alike. His mother called 911 from their Oakland home, reporting a possible overdose. When emergency responders arrived, Angus had no pulse. He was pronounced dead on the scene. For millions of fans who grew up with Euphoria, the news feels unreal. Within minutes, clips of Cloud's most memorable scenes flooded TikTok, Instagram, and Twitter. From his fierce showdown with Nate Jacobs to his quiet, tender moments with Rue, Angus became more than a character. He became a symbol of raw authenticity in a show defined by chaos, addiction, and heartbreak. And now, his own story has ended far too soon. The star who wasn't looking for fame. Unlike many actors, Angus Cloud didn't spend years chasing casting calls or pounding on Hollywood's doors. Fame, in a strange way, found him. Born in Oakland, California in 1998, Angus was far from the bright lights of Hollywood. His life was rooted in the Bay Area, where he worked low-profile jobs and hung out with friends. He once studied at the Oakland School for the Arts, the same school Zendaya attended years earlier, but he never pursued acting seriously. That all changed on the streets of New York. A casting scout spotted him, drawn to his look, his presence, and his authenticity. At first, Angus thought it was a scam. He laughed it off. But the call was real, an audition for a gritty new HBO drama called Euphoria. And when he walked into the room to read for Fez, he didn't try to be someone else. He just was himself. The accent, the quiet pauses, the laid-back demeanor, none of it was put on. Casting directors saw something rare, someone who didn't have to act to feel real. Angus Cloud got the part, and television would never be the same. Becoming Fez, the unexpected heart of Euphoria. When Euphoria premiered in 2019, all eyes were on Zendaya's Rue, a high schooler spiraling through addiction. The show was raw, unflinching, and sometimes uncomfortable to watch. But in that chaos emerged a character who stole the spotlight without even trying. Fezco Fez O'Neill, the soft-spoken drug dealer with a scarred childhood, wasn't supposed to be the heart of the series. He wasn't the lead, but as episodes unfolded, fans realized that beneath Fez's hoodie and steely gaze was something powerful, a quiet kindness. Fez wasn't just a dealer, he was Rue's protector, he was her anchor. He was the one who tried, in his own flawed way, to shield her from the abyss of addiction. One of the most iconic moments came when Fez beat Nate Jacobs, the manipulative villain played by Jacob Elordi, into the ground. It was violent, it was shocking, but it was also cathartic. For fans, it cemented Fez as someone who might live in the shadows of crime, but still carried a deep moral compass. Angus's natural performance blurred the line between actor and character. Fez wasn't just written, he was lived. Life imitating art. And that's what makes Angus Cloud's death so haunting, so difficult to process. Euphoria was never a glossy teen drama. It was raw, unsettling, and painfully honest about addiction, trauma, and the quiet wars young people fight behind closed doors. Fez, Angus's character, embodied that contradiction, a hardened exterior masking a fragile soul. He was the protector, the silent guardian, but he was also carrying a weight that could crush him at any moment. In real life, Angus was carrying a weight of his own. Just weeks before his passing, he traveled to Ireland to bury his father, his best friend, his mentor, his anchor. Friends say he returned home shattered, unable to process the depth of his loss. His family later admitted that grief had consumed him. Reports suggest he may have voiced suicidal thoughts in the days leading up to his death, though the full truth remains painfully uncertain. What is known is that on that tragic morning in Oakland, his mother dialed 911. Her son was unresponsive. She told operators it could be an overdose. By the time paramedics arrived, Angus Cloud, the bright, reluctant star who gave Fez his soul, was gone. The parallels are chilling. On screen, Fez lived in the shadows of addiction, watching the people he cared about destroy themselves while he tried, in his own broken way, to save them. Off-screen, Angus himself may have been locked in that same battle, trying to find light in the darkness, trying to protect others while silently carrying his own demons. Art imitated life, and now, in the most heartbreaking twist of all, life has mirrored art. A career on the rise. At only 25, Angus Cloud was just beginning his career. After Euphoria, doors had swung open for him. Hollywood saw him as one of the most promising young talents of his generation, a raw, unpolished actor who brought something new to the screen. He had roles lined up in independent films like The Line and Your Lucky Day. There were whispers of big studios eyeing him for major projects, and of course, there was Euphoria Season 3, where Fez's storyline was expected to expand even further. But now those projects hang in uncertainty. Filming had already been delayed by the ongoing Hollywood strikes. And with Angus gone, questions loom over how Euphoria will move forward without one of its most beloved characters. Still, his short career left a powerful imprint. Fans weren't just watching Angus act, they were watching Angus live on screen. A legacy of love and loss. As the news broke, tributes poured in. Zendaya called him her brother. Co-stars remembered him as a kind, funny, and loyal friend. Sam Levinson, Euphoria's creator, described him as too special, too talented, and way too young to leave us so soon. But the grief wasn't limited to Hollywood. Fans across the world flooded social media with their memories. Edits of Fez scenes went viral. Fan art popped up overnight. Clips of his behind-the-scenes interviews resurfaced. Gone too soon, never forgotten. Angus Cloud's story is heartbreaking not just because of how it ended, but because of how much promise it carried. At 25, he had barely scratched the surface of his career. He was set to become a defining voice of a generation, a face that could carry stories bigger than himself. Instead, he becomes part of Hollywood's tragic legacy of young stars lost too soon, from River Phoenix to Heath Ledger, and now Angus Cloud. Angus Cloud's impact beyond Euphoria. While Euphoria cemented Angus Cloud as a household name, his influence extended beyond the show. He became a cultural figure in his own right, especially for young people who saw themselves reflected in his authenticity. Unlike many rising stars who polished their image for Hollywood, Angus remained unfiltered. He gave interviews where he spoke candidly, laughed at his own sudden fame, and admitted that he never imagined himself as an actor. That raw honesty resonated deeply with fans who were tired of carefully manufactured celebrity personas. Angus's laid-back vibe turned him into a style icon as well. Fashion brands noticed his distinct look, often blending streetwear with vintage pieces, and began inviting him to sit front row at shows. He modeled for campaigns and brought an everyman energy that felt far removed from the traditional glossy image of young Hollywood. To many, Angus was proof that you didn't need to chase fame to find it. Sometimes being yourself was enough. Beyond fashion and film, he also appeared in music videos, collaborating with artists who admired his originality. These small but powerful appearances hinted at a future where Angus might have become more than just an actor, possibly a creative force across multiple industries. His ability to connect across art forms showed he wasn't simply playing a role, he was living as an artist in every sense. The conversation around mental health. Angus Cloud's passing has also reignited important conversations about grief, loss, and mental health. His struggle after losing his father, paired with the demands of fame, reminded people how fragile even the brightest stars can be. Fans and celebrities alike have used his death to highlight the need for open dialogue about depression, addiction, and the pressure placed on young performers. Hollywood has long had a tragic history of young actors being overwhelmed by the weight of sudden stardom. Angus's story has now joined that legacy, but it also serves as a warning. Mental health advocates stress that his passing should not only be mourned, but also remembered as a call to action, to check on friends, to talk openly about pain, and to recognize that grief can become unbearable if left in silence. In many ways, Angus's story mirrors the very themes of Euphoria, the struggles young people face, often hidden beneath smiles and casual conversations. His death has become a painful reminder that behind the fame, the lights, and the characters, there are real humans battling their own invisible wars. If there is any legacy beyond his art, it is this, that his loss may encourage more compassion, more conversations, and hopefully, more lives saved. But unlike many, Angus left something behind that feels uniquely his. Fez. That character, that performance, and that quiet authenticity will live on. For fans, Fez will always be more than a drug dealer in a TV show. He will be remembered as the soul of Euphoria. And Angus Cloud will be remembered as the real human being who gave him life. Rest in peace, Angus Cloud, a life cut short, but a legacy that will never fade. What was your favorite Fez moment from Euphoria? Share your thoughts and memories in the comments below. Like this video if you'll always remember Angus Cloud, and don't forget to subscribe for more powerful stories that matter.